Cameron Boozer is generating plenty of debate, but all he does is produce and win. But does that mean it'll actually translate to the next level? We'll break it all down for you next on Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings.
You are Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings, your daily podcast on the future stars of the NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Tyler Metcalf. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Joining me as always is Tyler Rucker. Rucker, on a scale of 1 to 10, how awful of an at-rim finisher is Cam Boozer?
Stop. Every time you give me a 1 for 10, I'm not ready for it at all. He's not a bad at-rim finisher, so we need to throw that question out the board.
Okay.
He is not bad. Not bad. It's not Jalen Duren or, Dwight Howard.
Jalen Duren is having.
No, I'm saying that those guys are free.
Jeez, you're just
let me
slandering most improved player of the. Oh my God!
Let me finish. He's not elite. He's not an elite athlete imposing like that, but he's not, a terrible finisher.
All right, we got a fun episode today. A little bonus episode because why not? We're there's been plenty of debate going on with Cam Boozer. So inevitably, everyone hates him or loves him, and if you don't love him, and if you're not willing to die for him, you hate him. That's how it works. But we're going to talk about some Thomas Haugh at the end. But most of this is going to be about Cam Boozer. For some people, they're number one. For some, 2 or 3. Some even lower. But the big point of discussion with Boozer has been the struggles around the rim. Now, let's kind of highlight where he's currently at because it can be a little misleading. But I shared these numbers on Twitter earlier today. But when we look at his at-rim finishing, he's now up to 66.2% finishing at the rim overall. Very, very good. Synergy moved their things around, so I'm trying to find where the half court is. I can't, apparently. But when we look at a lot of those numbers are really boosted by the lower level competition that they've played. However, when we look at the 4 Power 5 conferences that they've played against, Arkansas, Florida, Kansas, and Texas, he's now up to 58.7% at the rim. Still, fine enough number. The problem is that against Arkansas, he was 11 of 13, which is 84.6%. So when you take out Arkansas against Florida, Kansas, and Texas, he's at 48.5% at the rim. For someone his size, for his pedigree, it's just not good enough. It's also a small sample size. It's early. I get all that. But there are some concerning numbers. The last 2 games against Arkansas and Florida have been so much better. But where are you at with his at-rim finishing?
I think everyone that had concerns about it is well, it's like, hey, you have numbers to back up, you have tape to back up. Like at the beginning of the year, yeah, he was struggling to finish, and like a lot of young players, I think there's always an adjustment curve. There's always a little bit of a, hey, this was a lot easier in high school. Why is this tougher now? And I think that's this, Cam Boozer's right with it. I think AJ Advance is right with it. I think Darren Peterson's, when he gets back to the court, is going to have to figure out some stuff too. Like we just haven't seen it yet because he's been awesome when he's actually playing. But Cam to start the year, I'm a guy, I had him at number 1 on my board. Still do. I still feel fine about it. Is there some stuff he needs to work on? Absolutely. No prospect's perfect. But I think the biggest thing for me, Metcalf, is like I'm actually encouraged by the last couple of games of what I've seen. And it's not just like, hey, the numbers are backing up, but you're starting to see some flashes of the Cam Boozer from high school. And, for what it's worth, I thought he had this type of style in high school more than people realize, but it's because Cam wants to beat you with his power. And it's not vertical power. Cam wants to beat you with just the strength, power, lower body. Like I joke, he's the juggernaut getting to the basket. Like he's going to go through you. He feels so good about getting that first shot up because he knows that second attempt, he can even be stronger to attack it and get good positioning. I think you saw it a couple times in Florida, the game. Like he had a couple shots where it's like the first one didn't go, but you pause the screen, there's 4 guys around him, and
Mhm.
he's getting the ball and he's going back up. So it's about positioning. It's about having good hands up there and whatnot. But I think you're starting to see a little bit more understanding of like how to get fouled, like the patience and a lot of good stuff that I think is not going to be the sexiest thing that we talked about in the preseason. But I feel fine. Am I still, wanting him to just dunk on everyone? Absolutely. But it's just not going to be what he is.
And that's never kind of like you hinted. It's never been what he is, and his game and interior scoring has always been predicated on power and sheer force of will. Like he's never been the springiest guy. He's never been the most agile or the bendiest, or he just never had wiggle or any of that kind of stuff. Um, but it's always been you know productive. It's always been consistent. It's always been efficient. And for, a part of this season against some of the top competition that they've played, it hasn't been that. But stylistically, it's been the exact same. And that's something that we've talked about for years with bigs coming out of high school who have been dominant. It's like, all right, well, how are you getting your numbers? Are you just bigger and stronger and more physical than everyone? Because that's not going to translate level by level by level. Once you get to the NBA, you're no longer the strongest guy on the court every single time. And that's what I do worry about a little bit with Cam, because stylistically, even though the numbers are trending in the right direction, he's drawing a ton of fouls. He has a free throw rate up to like 50.8. So you like to see that. You were seeing him get a little more crafty with the foul baiting stuff, using his off arm, initiating contact, all that kind of stuff. Really good signs. But the shots that he is creating, it's not like he's creating really clean, efficient looks. It's finishing through small windows or through contact every single time. And it's really tough around the rim for him right now. And I'm just a little hesitant. I think it be fine eventually, but I am a little hesitant on what the actual peak of that looks like in the NBA if the scoring game doesn't continue to evolve.
I think there's another level of his game where you can get a little mid-range
Mhm.
going. That's something that I think would be interesting to see develop, because then that can create more of an opportunity for him to put it on the ground and get to the basket and make a little life a little easier, because you have to come out on him more and you got to get bigs to come out on him more. Right now, he's got that pick and pop, like it's just like, I'll shoot this.
And he's getting bigs to come out in those situations, and that's when he's getting his cleanest looks, is when he's driving past them,
Yep.
closing out.
Yeah, and so there's some versatility. I thought the beginning of the year, when it came to him trying to get to the basket and score, I thought he was trying to do too much. Where it was like he's trying to sell an extra fake when it's like, no, he had, I think it was against Texas, he had one where he was like trying to go up and trying to get a guy to bite, and he threw a pump fake when it was like, oh, you were wide open, and then the guy reacted and then blocked it on the next try. So it was like, I think he's starting to also figure out like, okay, like maybe I don't have to do so much on this, make it simpler. There's been some nice finishes. It's been one of those issues where like, hey, yeah, would I like him to be an awesome, unbelievable athlete finisher? No, it's not that. I also remember seeing Cam Boozer in person being like, his lower half, he has tree trunks. He is going to live with his lower half, and then his upper half matches it. So people will be like, he's undersized, 6'9", 250 is always my favorite thing to hear. It's like, people are like, oh, he's undersized. And it's like, yeah, but he's a brick. Like, this is a tree. You're literally trying to guard a tree. So like, you see it when he's going for offensive rebounds. You can't stop him. Like, no one can box him out because he just goes right past you. Look, we're complaining about a guy who, against Arkansas and Florida, his last 2 games, he's averaging 32 and 7.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So, and he's getting to the free throw line 9 times a game.
Yeah.
But you were onto something at the beginning of the year about the finishing stuff, and you're still right. Like, there's stuff that needs to be worked. He just feels like maybe he needs a little bit more craft of like, got to get that little hook, baby hook a little bit better, or, not be so eager to get bully ball. But I also just think that's his style. I think he's like, let me get the shot up and I can get the second one right back. Like, his dad was like that.
And, for all of our hand wringing and pearl clutching and all of throughout this episode, it's important to preface again, Rucker has him at 1, I have him at 2. So it's not like we're out on Cam by any means, but you mentioned that's his style. And that's a little bit of what I'm concerned about.
Right.
We'll dive into right after this. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the US. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. So, if that's his style, bully ball at 6'9", 250. I think he's going to be physically one of the most ready-made freshmen coming out of college, just like to hit the ground running. And if anyone's going to be able to translate that style to the next level, it'll probably be him. But do you have any concerns of that being his style and it just simply not working when he's having to bang with Jalen Duren or Jokic or Gobert or Şengün or just anyone who matches him in physical size and strength and experience in the post?
Oh, for sure. I have doubts about every prospect. I think there's no prospect I've ever had a doubt about, or like you. I mean, that's scouting. You're trying to balance the positives and the negatives, and it's like, hey, if there's a weakness area, can you live with that weakness? And like, so I'm like, okay, well, let's say that is an issue, and he just can't get away that way. It's like, well, is Cam talented enough to still be a high level player? And I think that answer is a yes. Like it's a big emphatic yes for me. I think the $1 million question, you've put it great. I hate giving you credit, but you put it great to start the year. Yeah,
Can we clip this section? Get the timestamp.
What was it? 12 minutes. You put it best. Is he an elite number 2 or is he a 1? And if he's an elite number 2, people might be like, is that top 3 worthy? Yes.
Yeah.
Like if he's an elite number 2, yes, that's the top 3 worthy, because we're nitpicking a guy averaging 32 and 9 against the top 10 teams in the country. So he's also 18. He's going to be 18 all year. So like, I think there is a lot of growth with his game. I think that we're all maybe thinking is capped, and we're like, well, why couldn't he develop more of a post game? Why couldn't he develop a mid-range game? Why couldn't he develop a little bit more of a handle package? And I don't know. It's just every time I've watched Cam, it just seems like a guy that feasts on garbage time mode, where it's like, let me clean up the garbage around the basket. It seems like he almost thinks of it as a weapon to get that first shot up, because while everyone's watching, he can work his magic to kind of get inside.
It's a star making all the hustle plays.
Right. And it's like, do we see that consistent, like just going to battle in the NBAs all the time in the paint? Usually it's not like the same clogged city as it was probably in like the 2000s when you had, Shaq and Duncan and KG. Like, you had guys really going crazy for boards, Ben Wallace. So that's why I weirdly just keep buying back into like, well, why couldn't Cam work at the NBA with the modern game and it's spaced out and guys are trying to shoot threes? Like, it's not like they're going to be sending 4 guys for the boards all the time. You know what I'm trying to say? But I get every concern.
And now I think this is where we can pivot into the context and really mattering, because in the NBA, I do think he'll be at his best as a number 2 on a championship level team. Which again, that's no slight. There's no indictment there. But right now, he's the offensive hub. Everything runs through him. He's creating the bulk of everything. Sometimes he gets doubled, sometimes he doesn't. And sometimes when he's trying to finish at the rim, he's trying to finish through 3 guys. So it's not like they're clean looks. And there's one guy that defenses have to consistently worry about him kicking out to, and that's Isaiah Evans. Outside of that, Darren Harris gets some spot minutes. Hemenia hasn't been a big time shooter. No one else on that team is really spacing the floor. So once he gets into a setting with NBA shooters, I think it's all going to look a lot cleaner because the spacing is going to be better. And if doubles eventually get sent on him, he's such a good passer that it's not going to matter because he's going to tear him up. All he does is make the right play pretty much every time. And we see that in some of his advanced numbers, where And he currently, I believe he leads the country in BPM at 19.7, usage over 30, effective field goal rate of 61.9, offensive rebounding rate 12.6, defensive rebounding rate 20.1. This is the fun stuff. Assist rate of 25 compared to a turnover rate of 8.3. For a big man who gets doubled and sees as much defensive attention as he does, to have those finishing numbers along with those playmaking and ball security numbers is absurd. And then we just go into Synergy's, our friends at Synergy, his playmate or his scoring efficiency numbers: post up 87th percentile, transition 86th percentile, pick and roll man 64th percentile, spot up shooter 97th percentile, offensive rebounds 91st percentile, and all of those play types are pretty evenly dispersed in terms of frequency, from 17.5% at the highest to 9.4% at the lowest. So he's doing a bit of everything in basically every area of the floor at an incredibly efficient level.
Do you know what his PER is right now?
37.8.
38.4.
Oh, I was actually close.
I think Zion was like 40-ish, if I'm right.
That's fine.
He's having a ridiculous year. I think you can look into, like, Metcalf read all these numbers. You can look at all these college numbers right now when it comes to advanced numbers.
Any number you look at is going to be absurd.
He's first. Our boy Corey Tolabo the other day, he's like, he's on pace to shatter like every analytic number you could possibly have. I get that Cam has these questions and everything, but my hot take is, like, is it going to get easier for him at the NBA level? And I'm sort of kind of like, more space. The Duke team is not like, the Duke team's not great right now. No. There's a lot of questions with that Duke team. And if you look, like, they don't win the last 2 games without Boozer. He went nuts for them. They were kind of like all over the place. So, like, NBA level, is he going to have more spacing to do some garbage stuff inside and have a little bit more easy of a driving lane? I don't know. I just think we continue to nitpick and question this kid. And he's been a winner and a productive monster
everywhere.
So it's just funny because I watch him. I have him number 1 on my board. I watch him Metcalf, and I'm like, man, the defense, I feel like it could be a little bit better. And then the next play, it's a steal from behind slam on the other way for an alley-oop or for a dunk in transition and one going to the free throw line. Or, like, I'm like, oh, that was a tough first shot. Gets the offensive rebound, gets fouled, and one. I'm like, gosh, man. Like, so it's just, he's gonna get this conversation all year. Yeah. And it's gonna be fascinating to see what parts of the game take that next step forward. But I'm with you. This is either oh my gosh, if he's your number 2, you might have a dynasty. Or
it kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, obviously very different players, but like how Chet Holmgren impacted the offense.
Yeah.
Where, like, at an NBA level, do you want him to be your offensive hub? Do you want him initiating stuff? Can he be the driver of your offense? And probably not. But is he going to elevate it? Is he going to do all the little things that make it better? Can he space the floor? Can he play really good defense? Can he facilitate for others? Can he score in all 3 levels? And yeah. And that's kind of where I land with Boozer, where it's like, and in the preseason, we said this, and now we're going, ripping our hair out over it. We said in the summers, like, he's going to have the least sexy 25, 10, and 5 averages of any freshman ever. It's not going to be a sexy style. It's going to be blunt force, but it's going to be efficient. It's going to be productive, and they're going to win a ton of games. Check. Exactly what they're doing.
He's doing exactly what we were like. Well, he's exactly what we thought. He's not fun to watch unless you're a hooper, and he is a box score monster. But because you're right, and we've said this before, and we're not trying to be like, we told you. No, but if you get bored of watching him sometimes, and then you're like, he has 25 and 13. You're like, what? He's been to the free throw line 8 times already. It's just amazing how quickly there's 2 rebounds. There's a trip to the free throw line. There's another bucket. There's a 3. You're like, what in the world? Like, there's a number of games this year in the first half. You're like, he's got that already. I get excited when guys have 8 points at halftime. Boozer's got 16 and 9 at half, and he's been to the line 6 times. So, you bring up Chet. That's a good one. Like, Chet as a rookie was 16 I'll round up 16.8 and 2.3 blocks. Do I think Cam Boozer could get that?
The blocks would surprise me.
Blocks would surprise me, but
Chet's the
16
best
and
rim
8,
protector I've ever
I
shot.
think he could get 16 and 8. Yeah, you know what I'm saying with Chet.
Yeah.
But like Cam could get 16 and 8 as a
I
rookie,
think he'll
and as
blow
a
those points out
19
of the water.
Oh yeah, a 19-year-old rookie doing that is a big, like, I was trying to get to a point of like, does this could it be a Spurs like David Robinson, Tim Duncan before passing the torch? But I think Tim Duncan was just a freak of nature right out of the gate. So he's just good, man. And I also think like I talked to Scout in the beginning of the year, and he loved Darren, he loved AJ, and he goes, "Are we sure Cam Boozer just isn't unbelievable, and we're all going to overthink this?" I think that's going to be a thing where you think about all year, and it's rightfully deserved because it's an important area of the game that he has struggled in. But everything else is really damn nice.
Yeah, and it's the context that I have to kind of keep reminding myself of obviously the context they're using him in at Duke, and it's like it's going to look different in the NBA. Like he's not going to be posting up almost 18% of his possessions.
Gosh,
like
that's a lot.
Like he's going to be used as a roller more. He's going to be used more as a pick and pop guy. And the fact that he's up to almost 9 attempts per 100 from 3, shooting 37.5%, that's really encouraging numbers, both in volume and efficiency. And that the volume, we're already seeing it draw closeouts. And once you get those big guys moving in one direction, really hard for them to slam on the brakes and then revert back the other way. And he's starting to take advantage of that a little more. So the post ups in the NBA, they're not going to be this. And with that spacing, with that ability to drop straight line drive a little more, be a little more consistent from outside, I don't love what the at rim finishing has looked like. I don't love what the shot creation has looked like. But weirdly enough, I'm with you. I think it's going to look a lot cleaner at the next level.
And hopefully he figures out a couple of big man counters and stuff to make life a little easier. Maybe he gets a little baby hook in the lane. You never know. But time is on his side. And doing this at 18 is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, someone else who has looked unbelievable recently, Thomas Haugh from Florida, we'll get to right after this. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. All right, this may seem like a weird pivot away from a Cam Boozer-centric episode into Florida's wing, Thomas Haugh, but they recently played, and Thomas Haugh has looked incredible all year, so I wanted to just shine a little bit of light on him and give him a little bit of love.
Where are you at? Like, hit me with your big picture thoughts, because I'm starting to wonder if I'm not dreaming big enough.
And I currently have him at like 15 on my board, and range that goes from like 10 to 19. So like anywhere in those late lottery to top 20. And he feels like a guy who's going to fall further than he should, who's going to outperform wherever he gets drafted, because all he does, kind of like Cam, is make winning plays and play with an insane motor. And it's not the sexiest game, but it's incredibly effective. It's incredibly consistent. Do I have questions about the outside shot? Still, sure. Is he an insane defender, rebounder, slasher, transition player? Yes. Like he reminds me a lot of Toumani Camara. And the fact that he's doing it at an SEC level, coming off of a national title where I thought he was the best prospect on that team last year. I had a first round grade on him last year, and now he's doing it again, kind of as the guy on that team. It's really, really encouraging for me.
You usually don't see a junior take this type of leap.
Yeah.
From sophomore to junior year. And Jalen Williams at Santa Clara was fantastic. But what I'm talking about is like, it's usually like a big jump's like 3 or 4 points per game. You're really like stepping forward. Thomas Haugh has doubled from last year. He was 9.8 points and 6.1 rebounds last year as a sophomore. He's at 18.6 and 7.6 rebounds. Numbers are pretty solid, when it comes to the splits, 47, 31, 74. But as Metcalf said, like, I'm fine with the shooting numbers because he's also taken 5.5 threes compared to 2.6 last year. But watching that Duke game, I was like, this is one of the best players on the court right now. And he is so aggressive and nasty at 6'9". He's tough as nails. And I think teams picking in the lottery are going to be foaming at the mouth to try to get Thomas Haugh on their team. He's the guy you put. Gosh, I hate complimenting you. And what an episode this is. You said in the preseason 30 and 30 we did on No Ceilings' YouTube channel. You said for Thomas Haugh, you said he does all the things your superstars don't want to do. And that's when I'm watching him right now. I'm like, every team's going to want that guy because the superstars are going to love him in training camp. They're going to be like, this guy's going to be awesome to play with because he's a madman on the court, and it's controlled chaos, but he just plays super hard. He can shoot it a little bit. I think it's going to be respectable enough. Like if he's getting to 34%, that's great for his style of play. But now he's driving and he's becoming an offensive weapon. Is, what a leap. I mean, he's just surpassed all of my dreams this year so far.
Yeah, because I just that jump in volume makes the defender just think about closing out a little more, and he's gotten so good at attacking that high foot and going against the defender's momentum, and he's so strong, he's so explosive and really, really fast getting downhill that it's so hard to reposition and flip your hips or cut off the drive or recover, because once you do, you're probably out of position and now you're reaching, and he doesn't care if he's going to get hacked. He's going to go through you. He's going to draw a foul. He's going to tumble into the fourth row. Doesn't care about getting hurt. He's like a wrecking ball out there, but now it's efficient and like really productive at a high level. Like you talked about teams in the teens, like starting at 10, like he would make sense in Memphis and Portland, Chicago, Milwaukee, OKC, Golden State, San Antonio, Atlanta, Boston, Memphis, Charlotte, Minnesota, like all of those teams, he makes a ton of sense on because he rebounds, he plays unselfishly, and he defends at a really high level. And now we're seeing him do more and more on offense.
I think it would be unbelievable if Boston got Thomas Haugh after they drafted Hugo Gonzalez. Yeah. But, I mean, it would be psychotic.
Jordan Walsh off the bench.
Just be psychotically fun. Just wings with high energy chaos.
And Luka Garza protecting the rim.
But look, he had 24 and 6 against Duke. He played fantastic. But like he doesn't have to be the focal point offensively to just take over a game. Like the game before against Providence, he went 3 for 9 from the field, and you're like, oh, that must have been a bad game. He had 16, 12, and 5.
Yeah.
So you just have this versatility, a smart player. Fans might remember him from last year's Florida tournament run. Like he just made big time shot after big time shot. So he's the one guy right now in this class I keep looking at. I'm like, I think this one's the one that needs to go up. I don't care if he's a junior or an upperclassman. This is the one that's really going to be a fan favorite, I think, in NBA front offices.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. We'll be back Monday, but felt like we had to just sneak in a little bonus episode for you all because we really want to talk about these guys. But until then, he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at TMetcalf11. Thank you for listening to Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings and making us your first listen every day.